Hello, beautiful people. It's been a while. I have been horrendously busy. Couple of announcements on that note. So I've been running my own games, fully legally, by the way. And I've been running them in London. And we're actually now branching out to Montenegro. And I'm hosting this very, very exclusive, pretty high stakes game, 100, 200s, and actually with a 25k tournament as well, over the 25th to the 29th of May. And if you would like to join, I'll put a link for a form in the description. And the location is stunning. I'll have a private chef and all of these things. It is extremely exciting. And if you like to join some of the London games as well, we have, I would say it's a little bit more of a party than anything else, but it is the most fun you'll ever have playing poker, guaranteed money back. So let's get into this new video. Now, Garrett Adelstein, or Adelstein, depending on your depiction. He's working his way up. I could see in 20 years time him being on the Mount Rushmore of poker. He's just such a staple part of the live poker scene now. Famously known across the world for not getting cheated by Robbie, allegedly. And you know that she didn't cheat because, well, she took a lie detector test that she definitely didn't pay for herself to when she hired a PR team to cover up the shenanigans of a poorly executed heist. Anyway, on that note, nobody's suing your boy Charlie today. That's what I'll tell you for free. Let's get into it. I've got a couple of very exciting videos, a bunch of hands I haven't seen, and I'm rest assured that these are going to be good, that these are going to be exciting hands. So let's see what's happening. So she came in the booth to a lot of... Okay, so we're sitting on 400k. We're playing ridiculously deep. This is after he made a comeback from not being cheated, and she definitely didn't cheat because she gave the money back like an innocent person would. Anyway, fun.
You know who was the best in the booth and gave me most trouble is Tiffany Michelle. Defense. Yeah, she total diva, taking over the booth. She was a lot.
So we got David calling small blind versus button, and Garrett opening.
Fun.
I'm just playing in the middle. Normal opening size.
And
I didn't hear it, but I would never try to be as entertaining as Tiffany people.
Tiffany is so much fun.
Actually, this instantly is going to tell us a lot about how Garrett plays. There's going to be a few sizings that you can use in this, and a few styles of sizings, and a few reasons you can do it as well. And I'll explain once I see how he does it.
Look at David in there with 7-3 again. And the club draw against Garrett's ace-5. What's going to happen here, man?
He might just raise right away.
Damn, betting 6,000. Maybe knowing his customer. So here's the thing. David's range is going to be a bunch of ace-X, a bunch of pocket pairs, and flush draws, and pair and straight draws. He's obviously playing pretty loosey-goosey. And betting 6,000 here is essentially saying he's either thinks that David's going to call with something like ace-jack offsuit, or ace-10 offsuit, ace-9 offsuit, which I think is probably a good read based on just the look of this guy. In fact, he's calling 7-3 from the small blind. By the way, whenever I sound like I'm speaking derogatorily about a player, this guy's the winner at the table. I'll let you know that. He's the winner.
Like he raises. He usually raises.
This is the hand when David hits a flop like this. The raises are going in quickly. Nobody. And one after another, Garrett is in.
So he raises to 19,000. He's probably quite an aggressive player, just from what the commentators were saying just then. And the only play, I guess, is to just call.
Putting him in the blender here.
everybody played back.
Bigger than Garrett.
Not used to be before.
Garrett's just got a slight equity advantage here.
Give him the old shifty eye. Very professional play.
But this is the way David plays these hands.
Let's see how good Garrett really is. You know, I haven't seen that many hands. I've just seen, some of the big ones. I can only imagine he's going to be top of the top. But, I mean, this is actually a very testing scenario already. And a lot of people would just end up making the wrong decision here.
David's deeper now, too, than he was before.
Pretty sure Garrett opened button and David called the small blind. I wonder where... David is very capable of playing flops aggressively. When you have hands that don't like to get raised, I wonder if you start to consider the merit of just doing a little bit more checking. Because we've seen that David is not scared to put raises.
David's not gonna stop firing here.
How much money is that?
Did you just go all in?
30.
He just shoved, 53,000. Wow. So you got 3x of clubs. So you got ace 3, King 3, Queen 3, Jack 3, 10 3, all these things. 8 3 in there as well, by the way, but that probably wouldn't shove. Then you got 3 deuce, maybe. Fucking 6 3 of clubs. Then what else do you have? You might have the odd 5 6, 4 6, 3 6, 4 deuce. You might have the odd just like King 9 of clubs. I don't think he's going to shove 8x of clubs, although that is a scary possibility, and he might end up just having something like 8-7 offsuit as well. Really, this is the kind of situation where, and here's a tip if you're good at live tails. By the way, I got a class on live tails. I've made millions of dollars using live tails in poker. I think I'm the best in the world at it. Honest to God, that is my true opinion. And I've never released a course. I've worked with people one-on-one. I've done 3 live tail retreats where I charged $5,000 for a ticket. But now I'm actually releasing a course, a masterclass on live tails. And if you want to take your game to the next level, and if you want to be the person that you can sit down and play the rest of the table like an instrument, this course is for you. And because it's pre-order, you can get 25% off using this code if you sign up with the link that's in the description, and I'll put it in the pinned comment. Enjoy the video. Like the video, by the way. Beautiful people. Peace. Got a masterclass on live tails. I consider myself to be the best in the world at it. I'm not gonna say anything apart from toot my own trumpet loudly at this point. Here's what you do in this kind of situation. You turn over your cards after a while and see how they react to it, and see if they're like, you tank for a minute, turn over your cards, and then see how they react. Because imagine he's just shoved with 8-7. He might be like crazy nervous, and then he sees your cards and he's like, oh, I've got like 87% or whatever it is. And then he's going to relax. So if you can get that kind of before and after shot of a live read, then you have a lot more data to go by to make these kind of decisions. Where if you show your cards instantly, it's a lot harder to do it. It's a nuanced live tell thing.
Stop that while you
40, 50,
Yeah.
I've seen Garrett play hands like this and never fold. We'll see.
51-ish, maybe 52, around 52. That's the good estimate.
David still got 26% equity in this hand, so
Garrett's one of those people that you kind of don't mind that he's always playing on his A game. Like Mariano and Ram, they feel like they have to punt around and, get invited back to games. Garrett's one of those people that it's like he plays such a crazy style anyway that people just love to play against him. I have a similar thing, and people just love to have me in the game because I will lose the most anyone's ever lost in that game first time I play it. And trying my hardest quite often as well. Sometimes I'll be drunk, but sometimes just trying my hardest. And people just love to be against action players.
wow.
A lot of tough spots now.
Yeah, what I got
Garrett
Dave's putting the blender now in the middle of the game.
is high level focus.
started off very smooth. All the spots were very happy, and
Let's see if Garrett's going to try and get live reader.
now we're just getting consecutive sets.
This is good, good to see. Good for us to learn watching
30,
these guys battle.
35,
35,
40.
40, 48.
Garrett puts him on a big draw, which he has.
So easy during the button game.
41, 42.
Pair in a draw.
So if you've watched my live tell course, there's one that Phil Ivey once taught me. It's the one that Phil Ivey uses the most. And David's actually falling privy to that. I imagine Garrett knows this one.
42,
You guys have castles.
Yeah, 52,
It's a good game to be short.
52, 7, 52,
So difficult to play against a player like David.
53. Oh, 53, 100.
Right, yeah, it's going to be going on.
Yeah.
And if you're shorter, you can.
I don't know if that's David's normal tone of voice, by the way. It sounds like he sucks some helium. That could just be his voice, but he sounds a little bit nervous, but that could be base level.
Yeah, David's the type of player that if I have ace-5 in position on him in a single raise pot, I'm going to be checking the flop a lot. It's too challenging of a player. He could raise ace, he could raise a 4 and bluff me later. He could raise all his draws.
Every hand you get a
He could raise pocket
Let's
7s.
watch. Let's see the table talk here.
You play a lot with him before? Or?
52,
You know him well,
900, 52, right?
50 to 9.
52, 9, yeah, right? 52, 9.
David talked him into it earlier,
40, 41, 42,
but shallower stacks.
52, right? 52,900.
Yep.
Yeah. 52.
This is where Garrett is world class.
If you ever want to get fantastic at live reads and you don't want to buy a course, watch yourself, number 1. Watch other people, number 2. And watch where the people who are good at live reads are looking at. And if you want to get even more subtle, look where the people that are good at live reads are pretending that they're not looking at. So something I used to do is I used to have a read on somebody, and then I'd be making these sick hero calls against them, so I'd have to like, you know, they would know that I'm getting these reads because I stare at them and make like an ace-high hero call, and they'd be like, fucking what? And what I would do is I would stare at a person's like hands or something like that. If they had a tail, like, you know, something else, like say their shoulders, they're like moving their feet, I would stare at their hands, and then they would just be uncomfortable not moving their hands, but paying such close attention to that they're almost losing attention of other stuff as well. So when you're looking at the Davide Guittais, the Chance Cornus, the Phil Ivies, and by the looks of it, the Garrett Adelsteins of the world, see where they're looking, and sometimes look where they're looking but pretending not to look.
I have something already.
He's got something.
2 9s. Pretty good read.
I can't believe David's talking to him. I would shut the F up.
2 9s. You would not snap on deck. Well,
If you have to take this long,
I would
like
shut the F up.
All right, so there's another live tale that when you can get somebody smiling, that's a very powerful one. Again, it's in the course. I'm not going to explain it too much free information, to be honest. And there's another one that it looks like he's about to call, and David's literally just like, oh, I like my hands. You know, it's like that level of desperate. Garrett really, you can tell from the way he's looking at him, he's like really, really paying attention. Truly impressive hand here.
Up.
one time only.
They can only run it once.
if you have a good hand, you're way ahead.
Got to dodge a club, a 3, a 7. Garrett's checking back at his 5. Need a big, for Garrett to win, he need a big card. Got to dodge a club.
Oop.
Garrett's got trips and takes it down.
Ah, nice call, buddy. Good hand.
It was a nice call. Very.
Very, very nice call. Like truly, truly impressive. To make that kind of call, you have to have a reads, both the theory reads, to even call the flop check raise. It's like a read on how he plays, and then also to call the turn shove is a read on how he plays plus a live read. It's truly, truly impressive hands. You won't see any of the other people that I've reviewed make these kind of calls, guaranteed, and be consistently right. I'm giving the ace 5 a 10 out of 10 for sure. But let's see if Garrett can hold his own.
Got to protect my V-pip. Protect my V-pip.
Garrett with the monster.
And Han with a bigger monster.
Already.
What a start.
Already.
Not a big fan of this kind of commentary, where it's like, whoa, he has kings. Crazy. I haven't seen that one before. It's a little bit excessive.
Garrett open 600 on the button. David calls in the small one and trying to keep them. And David is going nowhere as well.
All right.
Get in these kind of games, guys. If you ever want to be super successful in poker, get into private games. Holy schmoly.
Well, too bad we started off to a slow start.
I know. Oh,
Wow.
damn.
Check.
Everyone was something.
Yeah, I like the old school style of poker where you get excited in the exciting moments, like that turn straight versus straight, you know, Dwan versus Phil Ivey, where they're like, oh my god, you know, and that kind of thing, but not in just like these like, oh, the kind of crazy flop happened. Whoa! Just a little bit of a note to any of the commentators out there watching.
Hello, OGS Artcraft. This game, Stone Cold, the game is going on.
All right, so pause it, and well, I pause it so you can use this time. What would you do here as Garrett? And I think here's the first thing you have to do. You have to decide if you call. Is there any chance your opponent shoves on the turn on a brick turn? Because that's a disaster. So imagine you're sitting here and actually your opponent only has like 25,000 behind. Calling could actually be awful because now suddenly if the turn's just like a deuce and he goes all in, you kind of have to fold. And you really don't want to fold a hand that has like 50% equity against his value hands here. So stack size is the first important thing that most of you won't be thinking about. Secondly, do you have much fold equity if you're to raise? Interesting. Probably in this situation you do. Thirdly, do you have implied odds if you hit? And in this case, you almost definitely do because people often just love to blast off at this SPR. Now, I got a whole comments on my last video saying, oh, you don't need to slow down your poker lingo. You don't need to slow down the poker theory. Just treat us like adults v adults. So I'm going to do that a little bit. We'll see how it goes. Tell me if it's too much. So this SPR, people like to blast off. They'll find an excuse. They got king, queen with the queen of hearts. They got whatever. You check back the turn sometimes and trap. Or if they have an overpair, you're just getting the stack anyway at this SPR. So I'd probably lean towards calling. And also just accepting that you know, David can have some hands that might end up bluffing on a heart, might end up having a smaller flush draw. The worst thing possible is if he's sitting here with just like queen, jack of hearts, and you raise and he has to fold his queen, jack of hearts. That's truly disastrous.
Right now, live. What are you talking about? We're here at the arena here in Commerce Casino in LA. Wow, everybody's in.
Quick deliberation with Garrett.
This has got to be fun for you, Ryan, to just
Raise to 20,000. All right. Good luck.
watch.
Oh,
Look at David raising with King 4. That's typical David. Oh, wow.
This hand got significantly less interesting now. Garrett has to shove. There's no two ways about it. You just have to shove. Especially if David's quite an aggressive player and isn't just going to...
Some things are inevitable in poker, and...
Heart. All blind.
You kind of have to tank here just so David doesn't think that you might have only a flush draw here, like nut flush draw. So if he does have something just like, you know, like a queen high flush draw or a jack high flush draw, he's not going to fold because you really want that kind of hand to be in there.
Garrett's like, I haven't played a hand of poker.
He can't, or he can just forget.
A 200-gram pot, the first hand. Second hand. Good timing.
All right. Very big pot. All right. Nice to see you, man. Wow.
David making the disciplined fold of the century.
And we're off. 140K pot, second hand.
You get a free hat and t-shirt. I love it.
David, TMM. Too much money.
Isn't that cool?
On's behind in this hand, just a few percentage points.
Yeah.
It's been a slow game so far.
But they go all in.
You didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
Still needs a third hand.
Wow.
There it is.
Wow. Not a bad start for...
I guess they run it once. Congratulations, Garrett. Winning a house.
Right. Yeah.
Opening king 10 on the cutoff. Something you can do in these situations if you ever want to actually get good at poker is think, what's the worst hand I would have raised here on the cutoff? Would it be king 9 offsuit? Would it be king 8 offsuit? And it's just nice to get in these kind of habits so you don't have to, you know, go crazy thinking about it when you're actually in person.
You know, then you make $2 million. It's really you
Okay,
really
now a house with a pool. You switch or a rental or
then
a
you
pool.
buy a newer house, and then you can go through millions very, very, very fast.
One of the best things about coaching, so I specialize in coaching very, very high stakes private game players. One of the best things about this is literally just the network of dealing with people who are so mega successful in the industry that they're in. And I'll often charge sometimes a little bit less for certain people just because they're so valuable to know that I can just text somebody and be like, hey, how do stocks work? Which stock do I buy? You know, like, is crypto about to realize or which real estate market is currently fertile? And the kind of conversations that happen at the poker tables as well in private games, I've just learned so much. And it's important to realize that, you know, I'm a good poker player, but in terms of business, you know, I'm relatively new. I'm a few years into the game. In terms of real estate, really new, really new to that. And they're just like crushes and crushes and crushes around. You have to remember, just because you're at the top of one hierarchy that you might be participating in doesn't mean that you're not there to listen and learn from people who are actually more successful than us.
Very interesting.
Sometimes it's a trust fund kid that's, you know, multi-billionaire or whatever it is that has had no success themselves but still wants to tell you about their crypto investment. You have to pass through which kind of advice it is.
Like, it's all an illusion. Everything's an illusion once you have
I read a book. I read a book. I'm trying to remember what it is, and I'll tell the break. That literally said, money is an illusion. Just don't worry about it, and you'll get it.
So you bet 3,000 into a pot of 9,400. I actually have a small disagreement with this one. I feel like you can go bigger and still get called by the exact same hands. So with this precise hand, I would probably just go 5,000. A jack's still going to call, a six still going to call. All the straight draws and all the flush draws are still going to call. So I am going to say slight mistake from Garrett here, although it's very minimal.
I'll tell the break. That literally said, money is an illusion. Just don't worry about it.
So it's also a pot where people aren't really going to be bluff raising. People almost like all types of players never really bluff raise on these kind of flops.
You'll get it. And so I started doing that, and sure as shit worked.
Nice.
Literally,
Yeah,
I just stopped worrying about money at all.
Yep.
So one of the most impressive friends, like he's that big, where I got a lot of money. He told me the story I'll never forget, because I asked him how much money he had, and
All right, let's think about this. So we got called in two spots. We have the best hand on the flop at least. Queen 10 gets there, King 9 gets there, Jack 9 gets there, 9-6 or 6-9 gets there as well. But everything else we're ahead of, and there's a ton of other hands in there. What I would probably do here is bet 12,000, call off a shove versus a small blind if he should so choose to shove. Be very unhappy about it. And then fold if the straddle raises. That's what I would do. I think most people would check here, by the way, but I think it would be a significant mistake, actually. Maybe I bet something like 10,000, 10 to 12,000.
he goes, you know, money's strange. It's like water. Like when you don't have enough of it to survive and you need it,
Right.
you know, it's all you can think about.
Yep.
And and you have this tremendous drive to get enough money to live on, just like water, you know.
Yep.
But then once you make enough of it, and then where you don't need it anymore,
I like it.
and then it becomes a burden.
Very good play.
Because it becomes, imagine like this big lake of water
Right.
that you're stuck looking after and worrying about it all the time, and it, it becomes a source of stress and unhappiness.
Yeah.
You know, that once you have more than you need, and if you get way too much, it just becomes a problem.
Yep.
And this guy's always mystified me because he's one of the richest people I know, and one of the most unhappiest. Yeah. And stingy as hell. Like
I love the.
And here's one of the reasons why it's such a good bet on the turn. Hands like this, there's infinite of them. 10-9, Jack 10, Queen Jack. There's just going to be like pair and flush draws, ace high flush draws. There's just so many hands that will call. And they'll also shove if they're ahead of you. You know, if he has even like King 9 here is going to be raising. Jack 9 might not. So you really have like a very, very clean turn bet. And you kind of know where you're at a lot of the time. I hope that he calls and the river's a brick. That'll be a sexy situation to see if it is.
Buddhist line that says, be happy with nothing, and then you're happy with everything.
It's true. So,
Yeah.
Like, we got to crack that first part. Then it doesn't matter.
These guys giving Buddhist advice on impermanence. I like that.
money just, it literally changes nothing once you get past a certain level.
Right.
But you got to get to that certain level, man.
You got to get to a certain level.
Well, we actually got it. We got call brick. All right. Here's where we're going to see if Garrett is truly elite.
Sure.
That's right.
I remember when I got the family.
So already, I'm telling you, 90% of you have already, if you somehow bet the turn, which you wouldn't have, 90% of the people that have bet the turn have already like snap checked back on the river. To even be thinking about this is already impressive.
Lawnmower, and I started going door to door, like, hey,
Yeah, I did
cut
that.
your lawn.
Yeah.
And
I
I
did
said to
that.
my dad, hey, what's a good,
I'm truly excited. This is how much I love poker. I'm truly excited watching to see if he's going to shove or not.
price to charge? And he said, always say to the guy, hey, what do you feel?
Very curious if Garrett thinks
anchored. Say that.
this hand is worth a jam.
I was like, the first time I was thinking, I'll do this lawn for 5. 10 would be great.
I think he's gonna ultimately decide it is.
He says 20. Shrug shoulders, like, yeah, okay, yeah.
It's true. I mean, I can't explain. I'll give it a go, but I can't explain how impressive this is. To find the turn bet into 2 people and to find the river shove when the turn was already bet into 2 people. People get scared of these boards. They see all the potential 2 pairs. But Garrett can actually kind of rep a bluff here quite credibly because he's not meant to be shoving that wide. He's not, like, people don't even expect him to shove ace king here. Never mind king 10. So his value hands are going to be like 2 pair plus, and there's not that many of them, and there's a lot of potential bluffs. Now, would he find all of the potential bluffs on the turn when the other guy was short stacked on the turn? Don't know if Masoto is the kind of player to be thinking on that level. But genuinely, it's truly, truly very, very impressive. Not only does he think that he has the best hand most of the time, but he has to get called by a worse hand more than he gets called by a better hand. But he understands that most of the value hands would have already shoved themselves on the turn. Yes, you might be up against King 3. Yes, you might be up against Jack 9. Yes, you might be up against a slow played straight every now and again, Queen 10 of diamond or whatever it is. You know, even Queen 10 offsuit might be in there. But he thinks more likely we're up against one of these hands like Masoto has, that decided it was worth a call on the turn, and now he sees all these potential bluffs of missed diamonds and missed straight draws on the river, and he's just going to try and make a hero call. Can Masoto? It's a perfect finish to the story if Masoto does pay him off here.
That was like ka-ching! I was like a 16-year-old kid pushing the lawnmower around all stoked.
Masato in the straddle, second
Masato, my bad.
last player in stand-up.
Would have taught me something like that. That'd help me now. Negotiating. Yeah. So what price are you willing to pay?
But what do you feel is like
I should get that watching
like,
Pawn Stars. Have you ever watched Pawn Stars? They do the same trick.
Yeah.
They go, so what are you hoping to do with this?
Right.
You know,
Whoever talks.
He folded. Nice hand. Nice fold, Masato. Nice fold. Truly a 10 out of 10 player. I can't criticize it. Absolutely. I mean, okay, I'll give it a 9.5 because I think he should have gone slightly bigger on the flop. 9.5 out of 10, but it's such a small disagreement. I think a small mistake, honestly, but which does compound in future streets and things like that. Maybe if he'd gone 5k on the flop, slightly bigger on the turn, Masato would feel like he's priced in by the river to be able to call the shove. Maybe that could have happened. So this is just an example of how these flop sizes are actually some of the most important decisions you can be making. Shout out to Phil Lark, by the way. Love the guy. Absolutely in love with Phil Lark. He came up and said hi to me, and he recognized me. And I was like only a few years into my career with Jennifer Tilly as well. And I was just like, I love you. Marry me?
Well, I know I shouldn't do this.
Guys, it was in my head.
it was a button game.
I had the
Open.
All right, we're just getting queens in pre. Don't worry about it. Shout out to Han for not caring about money enough. Love that.
But yeah, should just go like this once you cross.
Yeah. Well, people have challenged Undefeated, but they just didn't get their two witnesses per half an hour videotaped from two angles.
No. Like, let's say, like, if somebody.
I feel like there's a generation of poker players that try to be like Garrett when they play. I'm not going to name names, but it's very hard to emulate. Just like the composure he has at the table, mixed in with the poker acumen, mixed in with the kind of aggressive style. Very, very hard to emulate. But I think a lot of people do.
Can give you like 1 million. Of course, everybody want to try it. I mean, challenge it. But I think nobody can make it. You know what I mean?
Completely unrelated to the audio. Did you know that there's like a sports shop called Lululemon? The story goes, I'm pretty sure this is true, that the guy invented the name because he found it funny that Asian people couldn't say Lululemon. They would call it Ruru-Lemon. Horrible thing to do. Like, truly disgusting and racist, and wouldn't ever find that hilarious as a thing.
Like Garrett asked me, like.
Truly horrible.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no one's going to be paying anyone or betting anyone.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Especially if.
Okay, so we've defended 7-6, we've hit trips, and now we have a decision on the turn. Most people would just bet here, and I wouldn't blame anybody for doing so. I think I would check though. Most of the hands that are going to be calling are going to be betting themselves anyway. You're just going to be up against two overcards pretty often. You give them a chance to hit, an overcard if they have it. Give somebody a chance to bluff if they have some king 7 or whatever. I'm just going for a check on the turn.
I can not make it. I gotta pay like 1 million.
Garrett snap checking, absolutely king, absolute king.
Maybe I can make it because I don't want to pay 1 million. So yeah.
So now David's bet 4,000. So probably should raise. Like, calling is the finesse play here. Calling is like I'm really putting my opponent on a bluff kind of play here. The problem with calling is that if he does happen to have a 9, you could easily get an extra like 40,000 out of the guy by raising here. After you've checked twice, he's not going to believe you, and you just get infinite money. If you're calling here, like, and he has a 9 and the river's just like a 10 and it just goes check, you've just lost so much money. But calling is sexy because if you think your opponent just has all of the Jack 10 off combos plus every single other hand that's in existence because it's checked around twice. I mean, it's truly a finesse play if you call. Either one will be sexy because the turn just lines this. It lines this line up, if that makes sense. Like it cues this play up so nicely. But it's truly lovely watching Garrett after I've been watching all these other people, by the way.
So Masato ISO'd
like
David's 100 gun, and Garrett was debating between 3-bet and flat 7-6 suited from the straddle. Maybe a little disappointed he didn't 3-bet after this flop came.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was crazy. Yeah,
On the turn, he
Raise is the one. It's the one. Yeah. You probably have to raise. It's sad. Maybe because this is a hand, he's going to get action anyway from Jack 10, which is nuts if that does happen. David is here's the thing as well. Against aggressive players, people like to trap aggressive players, but here's another way of trapping them, raising them. Because then they still play aggressively and the pot's bigger. So trapping is very often not really the play. I'm glad he didn't finesse in this spot.
he elected to slow play with David to his left and did get a hefty bet out of him.
It was a very weird thing that I chose to do. I was like, it's so weird when I look back at who I was. Like, I've evolved so many versions of like a new human.
You can see the pain.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Okay.
Something you should note about Garrett is that he's not staring at his opponent, but he's paying close attention to every micro movement his opponent is making. And you know that he's looking for good reasons as well. Some people just have this kind of like blank, empty stare for intimidation. Some people are paying hyper-vigilant attention.
When I did not think...
This is a giant punt from David. That's what I'm seeing from this. This is my hyper-vigilance kicking in. Giant punt.
I'm trying to be open-minded to all of the possibility of David's strategies in this game. I did not think we were going to see a call there.
I'm so glad you didn't have to.
I love the punt, by the way. I love that he has this in his repertoire. He's made a read. It's a bad read, but he's made a read and he's going with it. That I respect more than people that just play normal GTO poker.
David likes to read people, and as we know...
David likes to read people, all right. I like it. Me too. I've done stuff like this more times than I can count.
Oh, he could read people right a lot, and also read people wrong a lot.
Thinking Garrett will have to shut down on the river.
Yeah. I should actually think about this. This is so hard not to be results oriented because I can see that he's got the JTO, but not knowing he has JTO, what you think he has is a 9 because he bets small on the turn. He doesn't have a 6 or a straight very often because he bets small on a dynamic board. You might not have noticed that, but that's what happened. He probably just has a 9. He probably just has, he limped under the gun and quarter range, probably just has ace-9 offsuit or something along these lines. So you have to go a size that ace-9 offsuit's going to call. And unfortunately, that is a big size. I probably end up going... I would try and look like a bluff because he's a kind of guy that likes to read. I would do everything I can to look subtly nervous and fake confident. Maybe look at him because he might be a little bit of an ego battler. You know, if somebody's like an ego battler, you can make eye contact. It really connects the souls in a particular way that ego people tend to just get devastated in. They just really lock in and try and win that alpha male fucking contest. And when you have a value hand, it's nothing they can do. And then I'd probably bet something like 38,000, you know, pot 40,000, whatever.
If Garrett shuts down the river, then David would try to take it away. Obviously, David can't do anything here. He can try to bluff.
So even though I might consider this a mistake sometimes, here's the thing. These kind of situations that people spend too much time studying, these river bet sizes and things like that, it's pure intuition at this point. There's no computer on earth that can solve this equation of how much David will call with his range. How much will he call with ace-9? How much will he call with 9-3? How much will he call with whatever it is, you know? Garrett's intuition says 25. He's played against David more, so maybe he's right. My intuition says 25... yeah, big, but 40, it only needs to be called like a fraction less to be more profitable. You know, it's one of these things that generally my gut tends to be pretty good in these spots, but I can't judge the river decision because his intuition could also just be better because he's got more data from playing with David more often.
Phrase, but
you don't call the turn to.
If Garrett ever thinks that David just has a random gut shot here, it's hard to find a float, but if he has a random gut shot or 3-4, something like that, 7-4 or so. I guess 7-4s and 3-4s is a pair, actually. I take that back. Or just, some random A7, then maybe the size could be better because you might induce a raise. Maybe. We'll see.
Never bluff raise.
Huge respect to David, by the way, for this hand. I'm not even being facetious. I love when people can make these kind of types of plays. Does he pull the trigger? I hope for his sake he doesn't, but it would be sick if he does.
This is where Garrett's exceptional. I think lots of players, after they make their river bet, they look at the board, they kind of go into...
Huge fold. I had a pocket square in this thing. I just got it done for the dry clean. They go into my pocket square. Trying to look sharp for you guys, and you can rate my suit out of 10 if you want. We do that here on this channel. We're very homoerotic about the way that we adore each other's clothes or criticize each other's clothes.
But Garrett is very David.
Almost everything.
Probably just lost like half of my viewers doing that, but I'm doing it anyway.
Every I love betting.
All right, we got an open on the button, 8-6 offsuit. Disrespectful open, but I like it. I would also open it. And David's calling the small blind.
At a poker table, talking
Different David.
about what they're betting on. It's just like it's at a crazy source of alpha.
No, same David. Okay.
Let's see if David puts in the raise.
Which tan is that? Is that Tan Shuan?
And this time his pair is good enough to just call.
Crazy flop bet as well.
All right. So we've c-bet. David's called. Probably just have to check back the turn. There's two options you can do in these kind of situations. You can check back the turn, or you can blast like 4x pot. It's up to you. I'll let you figure out why.
Flop bet.
Flop betting?
No, prop betting.
Oh, prop betting?
Wayne, you missed a series of hands played by David where he put in some chunky, beefy bets with bottom pair, raising, betting himself.
I played with David.
Yeah, it's not.
So check is probably the best answer. By the way, the overbet 4x pot here is like you're up against a capped range. You can make sometimes against some people, you just make 100% of their range fold in these kind of spots, unless they somehow have like ace deuce. And there's only 3 combos of ace deuce suited, and some people might not even have that pre-flop because they might 3-bet. So you can literally make people fold 100% of their range by overbet, like small flop overbet turn. Give up river tends to be the line. Come learn that on eliteuniversity.com if you wanna learn more about theory. And now we have a situation. We have to, and it's another one of these intuitive situations. When David checks, he has a queen. Like I'm telling you, he has king jack, king 10, or a queen, maybe an 8. Very, very often a queen. King, queen, queen jack, queen 10, queen 9, queen 7. He's loose, so he calls all these hands. Offsuit varieties of the king, queen, and queen jack there. So it's like a ton of like 12 combos of each. Again, I'm not going to slow down. You guys said you're big boys. You fucking hear me just spew off loads of poker lingo. So now, how much will a queen call is what you should be asking. Don't think about what size does my range want to go. Don't think about, do I want to be balancing my frequencies? Don't think about, do I want to take my thumb up my ass and press the randomizer? Don't do any of that. I don't care what you've learned on upswing.com. Stop randomizing against people with too much money than sense. Think, what is my opponent's range and what are we going to do? I'm furious just even thinking about you not thinking about this. I've done thousands of hours of coaching in my life. So many people just have been brainwashed by the style of poker, which has trickled down in like this horrible diluted fashion from the GTO wizards up there in this way that's like pseudo GTO and pseudo intellectual. It's just a horrible, horrible thing. Anyway, what is my opponent's range? What am I going to do about it? And what are we going to do about it? Well, we're probably going to overbet because we got an aggressive image. We check back turn. The bet line against a recreational player as a value bet is perfect. So capitalize on that. Having a value bet in the bet line is rare because usually you just bet the turn, but you can also do it with like ace 3 and things like this in these kind of situations. In this situation, we're going to be going something like 12.5k in my opinion. 12.8 is what I go. Makes it look bluffier. The 8 instead of the 2 or something.
Like, yeah.
Just a couple times.
What a legend.
Anything.
I mean about more like...
And Garrett, who's notorious for running so good on stream, continues to.
Like, let's say, like, playing like 100 hours poker or something like that. Like,
I think that was intentional. I might message Garrett and find out, but I think that was intentional. The fumbling of the chips. Watch it again.
Continues to.
Like, let's say, like, playing like 100 hours poker or...
That seems intentional. That seems like a guy that's trying to represent a bluff in a very subtle way.
Something like that.
and then putting it forward confidently.
Like Antoinette
When I say that, when I played that 115, no one could believe it.
9,000, exactly the same thoughts. I went a little bit bigger, but intuition is intuition. Maybe his side's better, maybe mine is, who knows.
But I didn't have a bet. I just wanted to see if I could
Very
do it.
interesting.
Yeah. You should have
Wish I
that.
had my favorite hand.
Think about it. I was just like,
It's like 200% pot.
I think those
Unfortunately, I have a real hand.
I know.
I didn't turn it.
So here's what you do in these situations. You assess whether you think your opponent is going to call. And you think the hand's over because you've done your line. But there is still a mind game to be played. So here's how it works. If your opponent is 90% going to call and he's pick up chicks like, I think I have to call you, don't fucking say a word, because that might influence his decision. And he's already pointing in the right direction that you want him to be pointing. But if you think that he's likely to fold, based on what he's saying, based on all these things, then you want to start doing a fake gulp, maybe a little bit of a sheepish grin, maybe a little bit of a winky wink, maybe a fake smile, something like that. Something that might tilt his decision one way or the other. It might make him more likely to fold, but if he's already going to fold, free roll, doesn't matter. And I teach this in my life, of course, but if he's like going to fold, you might tilt him towards calling, and that the mind games are still going even after you've done your action. And people don't understand how valuable these things are, especially in these big spots with a lot of big blinds going in, where people are thinking more emotionally than mathematically, which is basically everybody, by the way, even if they pretend that they're not.
I didn't have that mindset all the time.
So how
Looks pretty
like 100?
pretty perfect from this end.
I think
not having an ace or a queen in Garrett's hand makes it a very good two pair to use this sizing.
My bet.
This commentator is just doing exactly what I was furious about doing, saying, you don't have an ace or a queen, so we're unblocking the calls that can... But obviously, it doesn't matter. He's got an ace or a queen anyway. Even if we have an ace or a queen, he's still going to have an ace or a queen. That's his entire fucking range. Mr. Lovely Commentator, who I apologize for yelling and swearing at. That's his entire range. So these blockers, the 8 and the 6, the unblocking the ace and the queen, shut up. It's been so many years. Can we please stop thinking about poker in such a ridiculously backwards way? I almost used a different R words, and I'm not going to use that because we're on YouTube and that would be a bad thing to say. But still, I'm furious at the amount of fake information that's being passed through, not just by commentators, but by coaches and by streamers and by all of these people. Like the example of Rampage being like, whoa, we don't block any of his... You'll have to go watch the Rampage video. I got furious at that as well. This has been my jihad for like 8 years, by the way. I've been speaking publicly about this for so long. I've been coaching about it for even longer. Anyway, it's difficult.
All right, you earned it.
10 out of 10 hand, by the way, for Garrett.
And he chose the right player.
Nice river.
And he sees the dirty.
One player sees a nice river. One player knows that he got the better of him yet again. We got another video. Let's go see. So far, I mean, I've got a 9.5 out of 10 and a lot of 10 out of 10s. Let's see this one. Truly impressive, like truly impressive poker. I wish I could get across exactly how impressive this poker is. It is next level.
King ace.
3 kings for Garrett.
Wow.
Eric's got an ace. They both check.
All right, so what's happened here? We've opened, button, check back flop. Oh, sexy check.
King ace.
Card with this guy. It's sexy stuff.
3 kings for Garrett.
Wow.
So you're actually allowed to get away. You can get away with making these checks. One for deception. One, you kind of under-repping your hand. You're only going to get 2 streets pretty often out of an ace anyway. You do end up letting the flush draw realize it's exit, but you're also getting coolered versus like king, queen, king, jack, king 10 less often by checking back. We'll see how he plays the turn. I don't want to just be sucking a guy's balls all episode, but we'll see how he plays the turn. But already it's like, I know that he's good enough at poker to know why he's doing this, and I know the reasons that he's doing it. And it's just already, I like it. I would probably see that. I would probably just go for 3 streets of value here, but it's very creative.
Eric's got an ace. They both check.
Eric bets 3,000.
I only like it if he's about to raise here to about 10,000. Because now Eric's bet maybe 12,000 even. Because now Eric's bet 3,000. He's got an ace. He's not got a king. Tell you that. Or he's got a bluff. And now we can really just hammer it home.
If I thought you had a king, I'd check. Or if I thought you...
Eric Pearson. The king of speech play is what he likes to see himself as. I'd say he's more of a jester of speech play. Shout out to Eric Pearson, by the way.
Represent, you'd have a king, I check. I check. Or if I thought you'd represent, you'd have a king, I check.
Adelstein raises to 8,000.
22,000.
Yeah, 8,000. Yeah, small raise, just trying to do exactly what is about to happen now. Pearson, by the way, when he 3-bets it, I don't expect him to have an ace very often. I expect him to have queen 10, jack 10 pretty often. And to now send, and this is exactly why you can check back the flop sometimes in these situations. It's a very creative line against specific types of players. I wouldn't do it if I was only against Tang, because Tang isn't the kind of guy to make this kind of play when he smells faux weakness or perceived weakness.
A 3-bet to 22.
But you're the pro.
That again?
But you're the pro.
And will the pro 4-bet?
Eric, you should definitely get into more leveling wars and speech play wars against Garrett Adelstein and Phil Ivey. That is definitely your forte. Keep it up, buddy.
Sweat.
Actually, one of my favorite things in private games is to let the person next to me sweat. And then if I get like a huge hand, I'm just like, chill. If I'm like bluffing all in for like 2x pot, and then the guy has like 2 faces to try and get live tells from, I'm like, come on, hold it together, hold.
Of course, man. We're bros.
I always let the one guy next to me just see my cards in pretty much. I like to do poker in teams sometimes. If I'm next to like a VIP that I'm just having fun with, drinking whiskey and doing all these things, I like to just sweat. It helps the time move forward. It makes it more of a camaraderie kind of phenomenon. Garrett knows he has the best hand here, by the way. Eric doesn't know this, but his size on the turn's already given it away. No amount of speech play is going to change that.
River card now.
Full house for Garrett.
So Eric has to check here. If he does anything but check, it would be abysmal. By the way, the play isn't so bad. Like, I kind of enjoy the play. His just like prerequisite assumptions that Garrett isn't going to have a king here, that he's going to be doing this as bluff, are absolutely incorrect. But if his assumptions are that Garrett is going to be bluffing on the turn here, his 3-bet on the turn, and if he checks a river, is actually, you know, it's bad poker, but it's intelligent poker.
I'm going to check.
Yeah. So, I mean, Eric showing himself at least. I'm ragging on the guy for trying to get in speech play battles with the best, but intelligent hand, bad poker, but like super 2 out of 10 poker because his sizing on the turn gave his hand strength away and he's not aware of it. So there's an information disparity between him and Garrett. But intelligent poker, given that he doesn't know that and he thinks that Garrett might be turning up here with some bluffs, 3-betting turn, check calling if he is planning to check call river is actually pretty smart.
Eric could be putting...
Oh, we get an interesting spot now. Garrett has... Think what you would do, by the way. I always think what you would do. Try and compare yourself to the best. The obvious non-finesse answer is to just go big and target a king. The finesse answer is to think, maybe Eric's doing this with an ace. Like, maybe he's got a bluff. Like, most of the time, or a decent amount of time, he's just going to turn up with a bluff and you're not going to get a single penny from him anyway. If he's doing it with an ace, how much will an ace call? And if he has a king, how much will the king call? So the finesse play is to go like 20k here, 22k, something along those, like 25. The non-finesse play is, and potentially the better play, by the way, is to target an ace or a king. The king's always going to call and just go like 60k. And then every now and again, an ace is going to call as well. I think actually the non-finesse play is better, unless you're really sure that he's not got a king, in which case the finesse play is better. But those are the only 2 sizes that make sense. Again, if you're thinking about blockers and unblockers and bluffs, you're playing a different game. You're playing checkers when everyone else is playing chess.
Garrett on an ace with a better kicker. So if Garrett bets now, I don't think there's any way Eric's going to call.
He bets 15,000.
Man, I'm becoming a Garrett fan overnight. This is sexy, sexy poker.
1,000.
Garrett seems to have a pretty good.
The nice thing about the finesse play as well is that if he does have king queen, he might go for a raise here. If he's somehow playing like a really tricky king queen here, having a boat obviously is like, it makes the hand a little bit easier. I was kind of hoping the 7 wouldn't come and it should be a 3 or whatever. Now the finesse play is even sexier because if he does have a king and he raises here, or if he bluff raises somehow, but if he does have like king queen, king jack, and he makes it like 50k, you tank raises, you make it 200k, and you might end up winning a ridiculously big pot. So 15, I think is actually the more intelligent play.
Fix on the situation.
I think in game I might have made a mistake here, or at least in watching the video here. I think I probably would have gone big and forgotten about the fact that he can actually raise his king X and we can 3-bet. Because I was already thinking on the turn that I wanted to finesse against a break, but well, who knows what would have happened in game. But anyway, Garrett finding it, absolute 10 out of 10 play. Just again, just incredible.
Knows that 15,000 is about all he's going to get here. If Eric has an ace.
Full house. You're lucky you got that 7. You would have just won with 3 kings. And that'd be embarrassing.
Okay, I like that reaction from Eric. That was funny and humble as well.
You and me?
I mean, if you call, it will be.
Well, I will call.
Okay.
Oh, we filled our quota of attractive Asian they've got on stream today. It's a running joke in the channel, if you're new here.
It's fun being far ahead.
Yeah.
Shout out to Xuan Lu.
Wow, dude.
Poker's a lot more fun when you got it.
9 and 2 jacks.
That's what I got. Poker's.
Wait, Tilly just called queens? Jennifer, don't make me come over there. Maybe have Chucky have a word with you. She's an actress and she doesn't feel Chucky ability. Yeah, don't ever flat queens like that. Unless you're on like a final table with ICM considerations, or you think there's some ludicrous guy that's going to squeeze behind you super often. You're letting Jack 8 offsuit get hit trips, which is unfortunate. It's pretty unfair for her. Anyway.
9 and 2 jacks.
Jennifer slow played this hand because I think Garrett startled her with, if you call, it will be. And she didn't raise with the queens. And unless she gets real lucky, this could really cost her.
Props, they always come when I don't play the king jack 9, king 10 7, deuce 3 8.
It's amazing how one comment at a poker table could mean a big difference in a hand.
I didn't hear what he's referring to, but it sounds like Garrett managed to speech play his way into getting a flat pre with the queens.
Adelstein calls. 8 on the turn.
Right, Garrett's just running uncomfortably well, by the way. Like, he's obviously playing 10 out of 10 and he's getting rewarded with karmic justice, but come on, dude. Right, stop hitting boats. At least just have trips.
That makes Adelstein a full house.
When she goes for the small check raise and check, it's very often just a 9 or an 8. Those are the two hand categories that Garrett is going to be putting her on right now. He has to build a pot. He has to just probably bet big. Jennifer's not the kind of person to double check raise here with 10-8. You probably just have to bet something like 15k. 12. Jennifer looks interested in the pot. It doesn't feel like just looking at her body language, she doesn't look kind of like relaxed and flowing like somebody that's just check raised with ace deuce of clubs and has just given up. She looks like somebody that's interested in this pot. So it's actually relatively important poker theory here. It's a little bit dank. When there's these spots with a lot of combos of pair and straight draws and pair and flush draws and combo draws as well, but a lot, especially the pair and straight draws, the 10-9, the queen-9, the queen-8, the 10-8, 7-8, 7-9, you just have to target those pretty often, especially in these blind versus blind situations that you get sometimes where you have all the offsuit combos of those as well. There's just so many combinations that you kind of have to base a lot of your strategy around those, and sometimes you have to go like big flop, big turn, small river to value bet, or like big flop, big turn, big river to bluff, and it's like it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Come study at eliteuniversity.com.
He bets 8,000.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I think it's a mistake. He's got his reasons, I'm sure, but I think it's a mistake.
Keeping it small. Maybe trying to get...
Really trying to think why he would have done that. Really don't understand it. Maybe he thinks... Maybe he's putting him more in like 6s and shit like that, but I really don't like that.
Get Jennifer to raise.
Well, she calls.
Yeah, there should be an extra, like, at least 10k in the pot.
There's a 4 on the river. There she comes. That's 15.
Well, color me stupid. Maybe this is all part of the. No, you can't expect somebody to do that with an 8 or a 9. There's no way he puts her in queens. So, all right, I still think mistake. I think it's somehow playing out perfectly for him though.
1,000.
She's bad.
Now, what sides do we go? Again, I'm putting her on a 9. I'll probably just raise it to like 60,000. I would go precisely 60, by the way. Often exact sizes get called more by certain types of players.
In case Garrett has a hand like 9-10, was drawing, and she's hoping to get called, and definitely hoping not to get raised. Just a question of how much Garrett's going to put in there.
100,000.
Oh, damn. 100,000's very sexy play. This is the finesse play. This is let's represent a bluff kind of play. Very, very. I mean, theoretically, by the way, it kind of makes sense. Who knows what Jennifer's range is meant to be here because she's taken a very unconventional line that doesn't really make sense in theory. But essentially what Garrett's saying is like, you've got a cap range and I don't. I'm going to start repping a very, very strong hand. And I think you're the kind of player that's going to call 100k. Could very well be true. And now maybe this is kind of where his sizing on the turn comes in. That he's trying to like plant the seeds of doubt in her mind by saying, I've got a small hand on the turn and now I've got a big hand on the river. But most of the time she's not going to lead 15,000 into you on the, like almost always she's not going to lead 15,000 to you on the river. So again, disagree on the turn, sexy, finesse, river, huge raise on, yeah, really, really cool.
Garrett seems like a keen observer, and he's noticed that Jennifer calls oversized bets.
I did not know that about Jennifer. I've only seen her make ridiculously tight folds. If that's true, 100,000 even better. I probably would have done the same if I knew that.
10, 7. It's a big bet.
Very kind.
I meant to do that long ago.
I wish.
Well, you can't.
I don't want to roast Jennifer because I love her so much. Her thought process did just sound like she named a single hand that he could have and then say it's a big bet. It didn't sound the most professional, but Jennifer's the best in the world. So I'm not going to roast her too hard.
Can't have it straight because I have a blocker to straight.
There we go. Blockers. Guys, blockers aren't real. It's the CIA. That's the MK Ultra of the poker world. Don't listen to her.
I can't imagine you flopped a full house, or turned a full house, or river to full house. You could have a jack.
Pourquoi, madame? Pourquoi?
Are you some kind of crazy bluffer? You know I'm a payoff wizard. I'm a payoff wizard. I did underrep my hand. Why would you?
You didn't really underrep your hand. You did pre-flop when no money went in, but by now you've kind of repped your hand pretty accurately.
Waste so much. You know I'm a payoff wizard. It's just getting back to even. I mean, that's a lot. I bet 15 and you made 100,000. 8, 9, 10, jack. If you had 9, 10, jack.
If he had 9, 10, jack, he'd be playing pineapple.
Oh, no. Oh, boy.
That was almost an apologetic tabling of the hand here. Like, I'm sorry. Give me 100k. Oh, my God, Jen. I'm going to give her thought process an ambitious 2.5 out of 10 there. And I'm going to give Garrett... I give Garrett a 9 out of 10 because I really do disagree with the river. The turn, sorry. But everything else perfect. Let's do this last hand. Yeah, it's a long video.
They can't cancel you.
I can be canceled.
Right, so
I don't see it.
So we've 3 bays, queen offsuit, and Bryn is just flat for some reason with kings. Don't know why.
Everybody, it's cancel culture. Everybody can be canceled.
With his kings, Bryn's not getting away.
Bryn, very spiritually powerful person, by the way. Take of that what you wish. Not just because he's got shiny, colorful beads on. Probably that's worth more than the apartment that I'm in right now, my office. That's either going to be worth like $500 or it's going to be worth like $30,000. I don't know which one it is.
Historically, had a big cancel.
It's true.
Quick check from Bryn.
Breaks in 8 minutes.
Have to go for a bet here. Probably go pretty big. Probably go like 35,000. Get a call from the parent straight draws, pocket sevens, pocket sixes, 8-7, 9-7, and then the ace-x, and then the flush draws. It's just a ton of hands. Maybe even a little bit bigger, 40,000.
Oh, yeah. I actually like no breaks.
I'm actually just now starving.
And maybe
Don't like that at all. I get it. If he thinks that Bryn's the kind of person to turn some hands into bluffs here, yeah, maybe it's fine. I don't like it.
Garrett suspects something because he checks back.
I didn't have breakfast. I had one shrimp for breakfast.
Bryn has two options here. He either bets like 10% of the pot, 20% of the pot, or he checks. Checks the normal play. 10 or 20% is the finesse. I don't usually use the word finesse this much, by the way, but I'm liking it today.
Bryn is starting to think, well, maybe he got the best hand.
Wait, who does that? Well, no, but where was just one shrimp?
He would have bet if he had an ace, especially with two spades out there. Probably doesn't have an ace.
I just want to know where there was a car.
He bet 17,000.
It was luck
Yeah, 33%. Probably a little bit too big, but c'est la vie.
from the Cameroni from.
Garrett's got a call.
That might be dangerous.
Yeah, but I thought if.
Garrett's got a call, says the commentator, who is a commentator for a reason, not a player. Garrett has to raise it. You guys might call. You have to raise it. Bryn is representing something. Yes, if you raise, he might end up shoving, but doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You have the best hand here versus his value range, and if he does somehow have a bet 3-bet trap, which is very unlikely somebody ever takes this line, because you're not expected to raise because you check back the turn. Again, if I'm speaking too quick, let me know. You guys told me it was fine. I got like 100 comments saying it was fine. Bring it on. Yeah, because you check back the turn, you meant to have a relative to cap range. So when he goes for a bet small line, you're not meant to be raising very often. So that means he's not expecting you to be raising. So he's not going to be bet 3-betting with a hand like, pocket fives or 6-7 or something like that. So we expect this to just be a hand like what it is, like jacks, for example, or like a weak ace.
If I microwave 2 shrimp, it'll take twice as long, and it'll take me 2.
Don't believe he could be thinking of raising here.
I don't believe you'd be thinking of calling, sir.
It takes a long time to get to look this glamorous. And I had to go to the makeup. What up? Called.
All right, I'm glad we saw that. Garrett, I'm giving this hand 5 out of 10. Every single other hand has been perfect. This hand, I think, was a mistake for quite a few reasons. And I think that he didn't quite understand, or at least in game, and I'm sure he will probably see that, judging by his face, I think he sees this as a mistake. I don't think he quite understood that Bryn isn't going to be bet 3-betting the river too often. Just wouldn't make sense to go for that kind of size with value hands. Not there are that many value hands in the first place. So yeah, minimum value, and I think played 2 streets incorrectly there. So give this hand a 5 out of 10. So how good is Garrett Adelstein really? By far, Garrett Adelstein is the best player that I've commentated on. I feel like I might have to make a new rank system just so I can put him in a rank at Hungry Horse. I think you've been demoted. This is truly a master of the game. Truly. His understanding of live tells, of the psychological element of the game, of the social element of the game, just like getting invited and having this kind of attitude where people really like him. They like to be at the table. He's fun, but at the same time, he's quite quiet. It's almost a little bit Patrick Antonius-esque in that sense. And then just the pure theoretical side of the game, range analysis, not getting lost in all of these blocker nonsenses. You can tell by the way that he's playing. He's not playing theoretically sound poker. He's not playing GTO balanced and unexploitable. He's playing pure exploit. He's playing purely masterful. I would disagree with him on some of these very, very specific theoretical nuances. And this is more so about just like using bigger sizes in different spots. But I'm humble enough to accept that he's also going to know things about poker that I don't. And so, there are things for me to learn about the way that he plays as well as vice versa. Once you get up to a certain level, I can criticize and analyze as much as I want. He's playing the exact same type of poker, which I specialize in playing and specialize in coaching. So we're in the same fields, just in different countries, but he's just a master of the game. So there's truly a lot to learn from the way that he plays. I would probably recommend going to watch more of him playing, and yeah, doesn't get much better than that. Anyway, beautiful people. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know who else you'd like to see. On the cards, I'm getting Jungle to call in to speak about Phil Ivey, and I'm getting debatably the #1 cash game online player in the world to call in and speak about Doug Bog, because I'm not qualified to do heads up online cash, but this guy is. We're actually thinking about doing a game where we drink every time Doug makes a big mistake and then just get drunk, and then we'll just go to our private game afterwards. Sounds kind of fun. Anyway, let me know if that sounds fun to you. All the best, beautiful people. Hope you have a great day. Peace.